Hello, beautiful people. We're here together again to talk about those things in life that always seem to happen to so many of us. Why do so many of us go through such similar things? Because we've been raised in a culture that repeats itself in every household, right? Let's say what we could call Western culture. Of course, with its differences, it repeats itself almost everywhere. The model that culture offers is always the same, and it has some central themes. I'm not going to mention all of them, of course, just the ones relevant to the case we're going to discuss. One of them is that you must first have a romantic relationship, right? Because if you don't have a partner, then something's wrong with you. What's wrong with you? No one will love you that way. You'll end up alone. Well. I mean, there's a certain kind of catastrophic judgment that often surrounds individuals who either haven't had the opportunity to experience or have consciously decided to avoid engaging in romantic relationships throughout their lives. Of course, this requires a lot of reflection. This means really becoming aware of what concept of love and romantic relationships destroys people, and what is a valid alternative for me to be able to build something functional, harmonious, and useful for my own path of growth. Let me tell you about a case. A young, beautiful woman told me that her mother, her aunts, her grandmothers, her cousins, all of them are single. No one is in a relationship. Those who had children did so with casual partners, but they never actually lived with a partner, with a companion. So she has this idea that she will never find a partner because she doesn't know how that's even done, since her entire legacy is that everyone is single. We were working on this because the fact that family or close people have a certain trait never means that we are also going to have that trait. Unless we get stuck on it, of course. If we simply believe that's how life is and that's what stays inside us, well then yes, we're going to repeat what we learned. But if we change our mindset and accept, and not just accept, but really realize that today science has shown that you can train your brain to make your life whatever you want it to be, then even if all our ancestors or our community or even the whole town has a certain trait, well, I can be the black sheep, right? And be different from everyone else, right? But for that to happen, my mindset has to change. I have to stop thinking in those terms. For this particular woman, she studied a degree she never practiced. She started working at a job that, well, was better than nothing. A kind of resigned life, you know. No, well, I do like my degree, my profession, but it just didn't work out for me because I had to start working to earn money. And so, well, I took the job I found, right? The one they offered me. And so, well, I kind of built a bit of a career there, right? So, well, I just stayed there and so on and so on and so on. Pay attention. I get a degree, but I consciously choose a rather mediocre job instead of truly developing the necessary effort, the rigorous training, the essential discipline, and the sheer hard work required to diligently pursue what I genuinely liked and was passionate about in my professional career. Oh, so I accept that job I don't like, but well, that's where I earn the money I need to survive, and maybe if I get promoted, I could earn a little more. Again, right? They settle for scraps for mediocrity. We were working on this, and I asked him, well, but what is your wish? How would you enjoy life? What would really fulfill you? His answer back then, he said, well, I like theater, I like acting, I like movies, I like television, I said to him, and what would happen if you enrolled in a theater school to learn acting? No, Nilda, I'm already too old to learn theater. Well, first of all, you're not too old, and theater doesn't have an expiration date. I mean, you can do theater at any age. Blah, 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 blah. He started to study theater. She began to blossom. She loved it. However, she always kept saying that she couldn't find a romantic partner because, well, in her family, no one had ever found a partner. Starting to study theater and getting involved in theater and even acting in some television projects, etc. Of course, she was happier and happier, right? However, the weight of the family legacy regarding being able or not to have a romantic relationship, to build a romantic relationship. So I told her, well, I'm going to tell you something. Couples are neither sought nor found. It's not going to happen. It never happened to anyone in your family, and it's not happening to you. It doesn't happen to anyone because romantic relationships are neither sought nor found. They are built over time and with time, starting from the moment you choose a person with certain specific characteristics, harmonious with your own process of growth, so that you can build an emotional relationship together. Yes, but where do I look for them, right? The thing is, you don't look for them. Well, where do I find them? Well, you don't find them either. It's about opening your mind so that in all these new things you're doing, and also the old ones, and also the city, and also your hometown. I mean, everywhere there are men, there are women, there are people. And the point is to keep an open mind so you can connect with the different people who come into your life, or even with those you can seek out to appear, right? For example, among people who study theater, among people who do the same sport as you, among people who, I don't know, if you like nature, well, then go for a walk in nature. You're going to find, well, there will be people, right? People who do things similar to what you do everywhere. If your mind is open to connecting with everyone and not just to find a partner, right? Because besides, couples aren't something you make. What you actually build are relationships as a couple. This might sound like just a matter of words, but no, it's not just about words, okay? The couple doesn't exist. What exists are the relationships between people. So if I'm talking with someone and after a lot of protocol, which we'll talk about now, I decide that maybe it could be interesting to build a romantic relationship, then here is the other person, and here I am. What is a romantic relationship? It's that what I do is going to affect this couple, this person. Let's not call it a couple because that's confusing. This person. And this person does something that affects me, and I do something that affects this person, and this person does something that affects me. And so my behavior and their behavior weave together, right? They truly weave a profound bond that is sometimes a deep friendship, sometimes a significant connection through engaging sports or the expressive arts, or perhaps a professional or even an intellectual relationship, right? But my personal behavior and their individual behavior consistently weave a meaningful way for us to genuinely connect, okay? If this person was chosen with a sufficiently clear and precise idea of what I intend to give and receive in a romantic relationship, then I will have to ask, I will have to find out who this person is. To know who this person is, I have to know who I am. So, before choosing anyone to build a romantic relationship with, the first step is self-knowledge. What are my values, my interests, and my desires? What is my concept of love and of a romantic relationship? What is my quality of life? What are my personal projects? What are my red flags? What are my dreams? What do I offer to anyone when I start to connect with them? What do I bring? What is my way of communicating, of relating to others? Because that is going to be the 50% that I contribute to any relationship. And I am going to be 100% responsible for the 50% that I bring to those relationships, because actions do have consequences. Well, this was discussed with this woman over several sessions. And, well, you know that I assign homework and recommend courses. And, well, you already know me. So now sign up here. Now work on this. Now do this assignment. But in her mind, she kept thinking, but I can't find anyone, Nilda. And I told her, and as long as you keep searching, you won't find anyone. Because it's not something that just falls from the sky. This whole thing about magical encounters and happy endings has to do with infatuation, which has nothing to do with building a real relationship as a couple. Building a relationship as a couple is an adult decision to create an emotional bond that has nothing to do with this passion and this merging, which, yes, we do experience, which is infatuation. Infatuation is something that happens to us. It's not something we can plan. Love, on the other hand, is something we consciously choose as adults. And that's why it's based on self-knowledge, because I need to be able to talk with my partner, tell them everything I know about myself, and see if it is harmonious or not with me. Do we have complementary or compatible life projects? Is what this person wants for their life compatible with what I want for mine? Are this person's interests and values compatible with my interests and values? Is their way of loving such that I can feel loved? Because we all know that everyone loves in their own way, and I always use the same silly example, but I'm going to use it again. If someone says to me, Nilda, I love you so, so much that I'm going to take you out of work, what would my response be? My response would be, well, no, better not love me then. The lady on the other corner, yes, that's how she likes to be loved, but me, that way, I don't like it at all. For me, that's not love. Why? Because everyone loves first the way they've been loved, but second, according to how life has shaped them. So if someone says, I love you, what does our culture do? Oh, they love me. How sweet. But no, it's not sweet because we don't know what they're actually offering me, right? What does that person do when they love? But for that, I have to know what I do when I say I love, because love is behavior. So if my way of loving satisfies their way of feeling loved, and vice versa, if their way of loving satisfies my way of feeling loved, then there will be a compatible relationship because their model of love and relationship will be equivalent to this one. So knowing all of this about myself, what I offer and what I demand, and knowing the same about the other person, what they offer and what they demand, and finding the compatibility between these models. Are their personal projects compatible with mine? Can we build projects together in addition to their personal ones and my personal ones? Is it possible for us to come up with shared projects? At the very least, there has to be one. The project of building a loving or erotic bond between the two of us, right? So it's important that all of this is analyzed. When I talk about building a romantic relationship, that's what I mean. My self-knowledge, knowledge of the other person, and always measuring the compatibility between the two models, and after compatibility, whether it's possible to create our own shared spaces, right? So that each person involved can continue developing their own path of growth. Well, I had all these conversations with this woman, and when we finished talking, or when we saw each other again, yes, Nilda, but where do I find him? As long as this person keeps thinking she'll find him if she looks somewhere, it will be impossible to build a romantic relationship. She'll keep getting involved with one person after another, and another, and another, and it will all just lead to frustration and to ending up at an ever greater level of disappointment. If we don't change what's inside here, what's out there won't change either. I'll leave that for you to think about. So, what about you? Does that make your head spin?